Joining me now is Sirius XM's NHL Network radio host Ryan Paton. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us. How could this happen?
That's how long do we have to break this down? Look, I'll just say, number one, I certainly echo everyone's sentiment feeling today and how this stinks. It's a tough one. Canada deserved to win this game. They outplayed the U.S. Connor Hellebuyck stood on his head. The chances that they had from Devon Toews to Celebrini to McDavid to Nate McKinnon missing a wide open net, they're going to look back to this and think, okay, yes, we got the silver. We should have won the gold medal, and they deserved it. They outplayed the United States. But I've followed hockey a long time, and the game sometimes comes down to inches, and it comes down to just that one chance that you get. And it happened again. Jordan Binnington played well too. He made some big saves when certainly in some moments that Canada needed it. But in that 3-on-3 overtime, anything can happen. I remember looking at the rules thinking, there's no way that this 3-on-3 is going to last 20 minutes. Not a chance. You put the best players in the game, in the world, on the ice in 3-on-3, it's not going 20 minutes. And it didn't. U.S. capitalized on a bit of a bad bounce. So this one's tough. It really is, because I really do believe, and I think a lot of people would agree, Canada was the better team in this game.
In your opinion, what was the moment that swung the pendulum in the way of the United States?
I think it came down to a couple, and one of the biggest ones was Nathan McKinnon. Again, this is not knocking Nathan McKinnon at all. It's just when he had that wide open opportunity, he hit the net, and that was one of the chances as well that Connor Hellebuyck wasn't in a great spot to make the save. And Hellebuyck, again, he was fantastic in this game, but if that had gone in, I just think at that point Canada would have thought, okay, now we can really push, even though we'll stay back a little bit to conserve that lead or conserve the whatever it would have been at that time. But I think they just kind of was starting to get in the head, think we have so many chances. Hellebuyck's going to be really tough to beat. But these guys are pros, and they've been there before when it comes to the NHL. They've been in these big games and these big moments also. So this does happen. Just the amount of opportunities they had, it caught up to them, unfortunately. Not blaming McKinnon at all, not blaming anybody on this team, but certainly hats off to Hellebuyck for what he did in this game.
How do you think Canada handled the pressure of being in the overtime time when it's sudden death? Anything could happen.
Yeah, it's. I'll be honest with you. I heard one someone inside Scotiabank Arena say he didn't like the 3-on-3. He wanted it 5-on-5, even 4-on-4. I agree. I don't think that, as fun as it is to see 3-on-3 hockey, I don't believe that this game should have been decided 3-on-3. I think 4-on-4 would have been a bit better. Even 5-on-5, go 20. That's what they do in the playoffs in the NHL. You don't go 3-on-3. You go 5-on-5 in OT. You just keep going and going and going. And even if this did last to the 20 minutes and 3-on-3. They would have had a 15-minute break, and then they would have kept playing OT, so there would have been no shootout. Both these teams have players on each club that in each nation that know what it takes to win, and they're in these pressure situations. So I think that they were fine, but you got to understand, too, on that last goal that Jack Hughes scored, again, good on the U.S. They played enough to get this thing. On that last goal that they scored, it was a bit of a bad bounce, a bad break, too. Cale Makar was close to the sideboards. He wasn't able to corral it, and the next thing you know, Jack Hughes was wide open. So they knew, both teams going into this OT, that you just needed one little break and a bounce to go your way. You have a chance and capitalize, and that's what the U.S. did. So, yeah, I think both teams knew going in it was going to be tough OT, but, yeah, it's a tough one. It certainly is for Canada.
How much of a factor do you think Sidney Crosby's injury plays into this loss as well?
I just want to tip my cap to him because, and I was talking about this yesterday on my show, that Sidney Crosby, even at 70%, is better than a lot of the league at 100%. But I think Sidney Crosby understood that he was not at his best and he was not nearly as healthy as he wanted to be. So he felt, I'm going to take myself out of this game because I will be more of a hindrance to the team. And also as well, don't forget this, when the NHL sends over these players to the games, you go back to your team and you've got a huge push now. And Pittsburgh is in the thick of things in a playoff hunt. So now he has to think to himself, okay, I understand a gold medal is big, but I've got to think about my NHL team that I'm going back to. So I think that they proved that they were able to get it done the other game without him. And again, they played extraordinarily well for, what was it, 63, 4, 5 minutes, whatever it was. So he was missed, I think maybe mentally too on the bench, he was probably more missed. I'm sure he said things between the first and second and third intermissions, but just having 87 on the bench, it's different. So they rallied, they did their best. They missed him, yes. I just wanted to tip my cap. I'm glad you asked me about that because it was a tough thing for him to miss this one, but I just he put the team ahead of himself, and that's what Sidney Crosby does all the time.
One way to lick our wounds is to think, okay, we have another chance in 2030. What do you think Hockey Canada is going to take away from this game in order to prepare for the next international tournament?
I think they have to take away from it that the fact is they were the better team, and they were the gold medal deserving team in this game. So I don't think, as tough as this is, don't hold your heads down. You assembled what you thought and what many people believe. I remember when they were going to take on Czechia, David Pastrnak said, we're going up against probably the best team ever in the history of hockey, period. And I think assembled, they are probably the best team that Canada ever assembled. So you can't hold the heads down. You made it all the way to the last. Unfortunately, in a game like this, there's going to be a silver medalist in all this, and you don't want that to be you, but it ended up being that. So you have now 4 years to regroup. This stings. It's going to sting a bit more, and I know that there's a lot of the political stuff that's gone on with Canada and the U.S., certainly off the ice, and that filters into hockey. I've certainly covered a lot of that last year and change with what's going on, but just look forward, look ahead, and you do know by the time 2030 comes, you will have an incredible team that you'll be able to put on the ice. So it's going to sting. The best thing I think for the NHL players that went to this, which is great, is get back to your teams and get right back into things. Get back into that playoff fun if you're in one. Get back to finishing up the season. It's going to sting for a long time, but you're going to get over it. Canada's going to be there again in 2030, I guarantee it.
Having the women's lose as well, getting silver, that's not a loss, but it's not gold for either team. What do you think that does to everybody else, all the fans that are watching?
It's the toughest thing to have happen to you I say this to you. Say you go to Game 7 in the Stanley Cup, or you go to Game 7 in PWHL Championship or anything like that, and you lose in overtime. That's tough. But to lose gold on the last game of that tournament is one of the toughest things in sports. There's no real silver lining in it, I guess, when you win this silver medal. But again, Canada's, I think you mentioned the women. I just want to say this too about the women. The women's program is in a bit of a transition, much more so than the men, because you looked at some of the women too. Again, hats off to them. They played a great tournament. Nobody thought they could get to that gold medal game. But, it's going to be a changing of the guard. Brianne Jenner, she's not going to be around very much longer. Marie-Philippe Poulin, same thing with her, and there's other players on that team. So there's this transition now, more so the women's side of things with the Olympics than there is on the men's side of things. Try not to hold the heads down. It's hard. It really is. But Hockey Canada, you've got to be proud of yourselves. You were the second best nation at the Olympics. You came just short, but you came away with a medal. And the hardest part, too, about being a Canadian hockey fan is every time these events start, the goal is to get the gold. That's the expectation, because that's been the expectation forever. You set the bar as high as you can. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. And in this case, they didn't. But I'm certainly proud of both the women and the men for what they did in this event.
It is our sport, after all.
It is. It is. No one's going to take that away. No one's going to take that away.
Thank you so much for this, Ryan. We appreciate your time. Ryan Paton is a host on Sirius XM NHL Radio Network. Thank you.
Enjoyed it. Thanks.